No. Shh. Shh.
Welcome, everybody.
Good afternoon on this beautiful summer evening.
It's so beautiful here. I'm sitting outside. It's like the sun is setting but it's cool and there's no humidity and I'm just any way that I can be outside in days like this, what I'm doing.
Well, it's super beautiful here in Venice, but I just left my farm and now there are 4 fires circling it. So, and the helicopters just landed in the meadow with the water. So, all right. Well, welcome. If you want to put in the chat where you're coming from, if you're new, what you came here to learn today, so we can address your questions if you have some. Also, if you want to talk about any reflections from our learning hour, I know that was a lot. I have 2 people that wrote me and said they had to watch it again because it was so dense. And I think bio speaks so poetically and outside of what we're used to hearing that it took people a few times to hear it, which is a reminder. Truth does take us a little while to integrate into the cracks. So feel free to put your name in the chat and where you're from. I'll start. Hi, Steve. Yeah, it's a lot. We're all getting ready to go to Detroit for the People's Conference on Palestine this tomorrow. I don't know if anybody's here is going. Hi, Dawn and Ron and Pamela and Regina and Juliana. Feel free to say where you're coming in from. Yay, Portland, Oregon. Are there fires near there, Dawn?
There's some in Bend area, Sisters area, which is a couple hours east of Portland.
And then a couple hours south, towards the east too, yeah. Hey, Alexis. Dawn, are you new? Have you been here before?
I met
Hi,
you
everyone.
a week ago.
Oh,
Got the crazy psych issues.
right. Welcome.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to note Juliana from Sonoma in my car? Be careful. Drive safely. What part of Sonoma County? I don't want you to type. Never mind. All right. Well, for those of you who can, put your feet on the ground and let's just start by getting in our bodies. And taking 2 deep breaths into this precious body that we inhabit, that gives us life, that allows us to feel, allows all our senses to delight us and educate us and nourish us. So take a deep breath in and let it out. This is life. all the madness takes us so far away from the simplicity of the breath in and the breath out. Feet on the ground. You know, just a reminder, feet on the ground is where you want to remember when it's feeling wild. Feel your feet on the ground. So we start with a poem, and we talked about this session being about the arc. And, you know, I talk about the arc being what we build by cultivating a local peace economy with this tsunami of effects coming from global inequality, global climate change, AI, and fascism. And, you know, that's all happening. And it's a result of the war economy that nothing is really in the way of. But we are pivoting from that and cultivating a future. And that's the arc. But I found this poem by Simon Armitage, who's the British poet laureate. And he reminded me of something about the ark, that was that you sent the bird, the dove, out from the ark to find the leaf. And I really feel like I want to integrate that part of the ark into what we talk about today. So here we are, Simon's poem, Bring Back the Leaf. They sent out a dove. It wobbled home, wings slicked in a rainbow of oil. A sprig of tinsel snagged its beak, a yard of fishing line binding its feet. Bring back the leaf. They sent out an Arctic fox. It plotted the bays of the northern fringe in muddy socks and a nylon cape. Bring back the leaf. Bring back the reed and the reef. Set the ice sheet back on its frozen plinth. Tuck the restless watercourse into its bed. Sit the glacier down on its highland throne. Put the snowcap back on the mountain peak. Let the northern lights be northern nights, not alien glow over Glasgow or Leeds. A camel capsized in a tropical flood. Caimans dozed in Arctic lakes. Polymers rolled in the sturgeon's blood. Hippos wandering to housing estates. Bring back the leaf. Bring back the tusk and the horn unshorn. Bring back the fern, the fish, the frond and the fowl, the golden toad and the pygmy owl. Revisit the scene where swallowtails fly through acres of unexhausted sky. They sent out a boat. Go, little breaker. Splinter the pack ice and floes. Nose through the rafts and pads of wrappers and bottles and nurdles and cans, the bergs and atolls and islands and states of plastic bags and microbeads and the forests of smoke. Bring back the leaf. Bring back the river and the sea. So, as much as it's a really painful poem of where we are, it's also a reminder of when I say we're building the ark, we are also bringing back the leaf. And I say that we're bringing back the leaf because it's the thing we've all forgotten. It's the thing that doesn't exist in the war economy, that it is the peace economy that makes us thrive. It is the peace economy that nourishes people and earth. And so as we build the ark that is the peace economy, the local peace economy, we are also bringing back the leaf. And we are bringing back hope, because the bringing back of the leaf in the ark story was the way of hope. It was sending the dove out, that there was going to be some place that they could land where there was a tree that would, you know, deliver food and you know, and bring back life. So as much as we see it as building this ark, I also want to see our work as bringing back the leaf. That when we have the courage to end our addiction to the war economy and pivot to practices of peace, we are creating we are bringing back the leaf. We are bringing back that which has nourished life and sustained life for millennia. And we all know that. And, over these last few weeks, for some reason, it's just become abundantly clear to me that as much as we talk about the creating the ark, and how when we create the ark and we're practicing peace, it's a field. And we know it. We hear people who are doing it. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know there was a field of generosity. But when you're cultivating the field of love, when you're cultivating the field of peace, when you're cultivating this connectivity of peace and giving and sharing and caring and thriving, it becomes like the frequency that affects everyone. But I have to say, what's really become clear is that's also true about the war economy. And I think when we know that, it helps us pay attention and know where we are and know what this thing is. So the war economy, the extractive, destructive, oppressive economy, is a culture. And it is the culture we live in inside the empire. And it is violent and it is destructive and it is killing you, your community, and the planet. But it's a culture. And the part of that culture is this violent psychopathy that we are witnessing every day in Palestine. But that violent psychopathy has been there. It's just like been covered up with a lot of stories that are falling apart right now. A lot of lies, a lot of propaganda, a lot of we live in democracy, but we really don't. A lot of we're not really racist, but we really are. A lot of, there's not slaves, but there really are. A lot of we're taking care of the planet, but we're really not. This psychopathy that is the war economy is also a field. And so it's kind of shocking to think there can be so many psychopaths, right? Because it's supposed to be an anomaly. But when you are a field of psychopathy, and that is what you're sold is normal, you will become a psychopath. And I don't think we think about that. I don't think we think about it in social media. I don't think we think about it in the greed and the patterning that people think is normal, that has nothing to do with sustaining life. It may be normal, but if that's normal, we're going off a cliff. And so when we're able to break with that, when we're able to model people back to how Indigenous cultures have sustained life for millennia, it may not look normal. And I don't think we talk about that enough, because breaking with it, why we have the cycle of reconnection, is because breaking with it brings up grief. It brings up how much we don't care for life. It brings up how much we don't care for ourselves and our community. It brings up what we've put our lives into. But as I've really been spending a lot of time out in lots of places in the United States with lots of different people in the last month, I just noticed everybody's at the edge. People are really being squeezed. People are really not on solid ground. And when we look back at Germany and how fascism happened, it was exactly the same. It is exactly the same playbook. The lies, the nationalism, the racism, the German people were very lonely, very afraid. Inflation was super high, which, raised a lot of fear and insecurity. So here we have a lot of insecurity and fear and loneliness. And so we can't be surprised at the outcome, because this is what happens when we allow humans to get to a certain place. It's kind of like the disease in the body. We know the conditions that create diseases. It's why we, wellness is like, how do we make those conditions not exist in our body? like inflammation, right? We know all the diseases that come from inflammation. Inflammation is created by war economy tactics. Inflammation in our bodies is a result of war economy. It's a result of greed. It's a result of the products that are created so that they can destroy our bodies. And, just think about this inflammation. Well, think about the inflammation to our souls, our spirits, our hearts that are created living in this culture that is not nourishing life, that creates a dissonance inside us, even as we can't articulate it. Even as we recognize what we want to have, while we are participating in the thing that's undermining the capacity to have it. So knowing what we stand on is super important, that feet on the ground, having the courage to witness. We didn't create it, but it's like, we're all at fault, but no one's to blame. I think, it's like everybody's co-creating, but it's like the only thing you can do in that moment is like pivot to not, right? Pivot to not. And I think if we really understand what this war economy is creating, that becomes every day more and more vividly clear to us, vividly clear the costs to us, I think the easier it is to pivot. And I know the pivots are hard. I know they take you away from what feels normal, but a reminder to look at like what has been normalized. What has been normalized? And I mean, I just went to pick up my dry cleaning, and the guy said, how do you wear that keffiyeh? Like, I just get attacked all the time, even if I mention it. And he's a Latino. And I'm like, what? You mentioned that we should pay attention to life? He said, yeah, they just get angry at me. I have a friend who's acting in this movie that's coming out at the Venice Biennale. It's about Hind, the young girl in Gaza who was calling for help for so long, and then they put 340 bullets into her and her family. And she's Palestinian, an actor. The film hasn't even come out, and she is being fully attacked every day. So much so, all the actors are being attacked that Brad Pitt, Joaquin Phoenix, Rooney Mara, and David and Glazer, the guy who made the film about the Holocaust that got attacked, they all came on as producers to try to protect these courageous actors. And I'm saying to her, I was like, oh, I just look out at them and just go, but you're a monster. Like if you're being owned by this thing that is, the most violence anybody's ever witnessed, you're a monster. So I don't have to listen to what you're saying about me. I'm sorry that you've been caught up by the propaganda. I'm sorry are you being used by it, but I'm not going to listen. But then you realize how many people don't have someone in their life that can say, no, pivot. That's the war economy, pivot. So I really wanted to talk today about, we are the hope. And when we're in rooms, we know better. And it's like, especially now, when it's silence, when everything we read about the Holocaust is about those who remain silent. So how in a room can you use your voice in the most disarming way, in the most curious and sharing way, to be a tuning fork for peace, to be a tuning fork for love, to be a tuning fork for life, and recognizing that people are lost not at their own fault. It's not their fault. One of the campaigns at CODEPINK is China's not our enemy. Congress voted $9 billion to make people hate China. Can you imagine $9 billion to destroy thinking, to distort how people think? Well, when you think about it, it's probably way more than $9 billion that's been spent on normalizing violence, oppression, and you know, look at how much money has been spent. If you think of all the media outlets, it's trillions of dollars. So that's where we find our patients. But we are those doves out bringing back the leaf of hope, that a peace economy is possible. They exist, they matter, they are the future. And we all have to walk in that direction and let this thing fall apart, because it is very few people. And, we can see in Tel Aviv every day the protests. Last night, they lit both freeways on fire. So no traffic could happen. The escalation in Tel Aviv is enormous by those that are fighting against what Israel is doing. Israel is bombing Yemen again, the most precious ancient cities, because the Yemeni are being effective. And so I also want to bring up something else that's happening. And one of the things that we hear brought up a lot right now is we need to call on the UN peacekeeping troops. And there's this other can do it. There's this, but it's violence, this other. I'm like, well, peacekeeping troops, you mean like the ones in Rwanda and Haiti and Somalia that didn't work? Oh, you mean those Nepalese? So it's okay. It's not okay for you to shut down the port nearest you with your body, but it's okay for you to call on a Nepalese to stand as fodder in facing the Israelis that seem to be willing to kill anything. Aid workers, journalists, doctors, nurses, babies, children, mothers, fathers, grandparents, the earth, the destruction of the earth. So, how also to have the courage of that it is only moving in the direction of peace, in the direction of how do we get along with each other? How do we help each other? And it's always like, how can I serve you in this moment? And if you're not of service, it's okay. They're not there yet. There are plenty other people ready to be with you. I know Moji's here and he does it all day, every day. Having, come from Iran, where like the demonization, the violence, the lies, we live in such a decimated landscape of history and truth. So that the calling on us and the witness of what is to be other than, right? To be other than. When you're watched dehumanizing, it's to be humanizing. When you're watching destruction, is to create. So that was what I wanted to talk about today is, yes, we can see what we do is building an ark for the tsunami that we are in now that is hitting us in so many directions constantly. But we're also the dove that is bringing back the leaf. And that leaf is the leaf of hope. So it's remembering to go to the roots of the situation and make the amendments there. We've been living in fake democracy with fake elections that are all propped up by the millionaires and the billionaires thinking we, can contribute. We're drowning in propaganda and a demolished education system by the war economy. So if we understand we live in a culture of war that is psychopathic and violent, from standing on that ground, we can create a culture of peace and love and caring and justice. It does fall onto us. As soon as we see that, here we are with our muscles of peace and love, because the only recognizable feature of hope is action. It is making and creating and learning and listening and touching and feeling it all, and feeling it all without need to react, waiting to learn how to respond, how to be in resistance to violence, not as violence, not dehumanizing, but in cultivating conditions conducive for life. So I'd love to hear anyone's comments about that and how they, yes, love is action and hope is action. That's all right. They're all about engagement. They're all about showing up. So anybody want to talk about how they show up, what they've learned, what they want to learn? Moji.
Hi, thank you. I am wiped out as a result of having a almost 5-hour clubhouse session with folks inside Iran.
Oh, Moji.
And I am delighted that I was able to do it and had the stamina to actually be able to build peace inside Iran between two wounded warriors. And so these are some of the consequences of systemic demonization that they are internalizing. And it goes, both of them are, by the way, followers of Dr. Mossadegh, the Gandhi of Iran.
Yes.
And
That was,
so,
yeah, you know.
who was overthrown in 1953 by the CIA and MI6. So anyhow, it is so important that for people from the global north to not lose hope, keep hope alive, because the voice of the voiceless in the global south needs you to continue fighting normalization of evil. What we are living is, as Hannah Arendt, the Holocaust survivor philosophy professor, she said, this is banality of evil. What Israel is doing, Israel, by the way, is continuing to threaten another round of attack on
Right.
Iran.
Right.
So we're living in an era of, people say, reminiscent of the Third Reich, but I'm saying, no, this is the Third Reich. And normalization of evil, normalization of Israel can do genocide, and then, look to Iran to get angry, to do Holocaust denial nonsense, so that it can use, so Netanyahu can use it to say, see, we told you, we need to go and attack Iran.
No,
And anyhow, so you're shushing somebody for silence.
that was
So
my dog.
that's your dog, I see. Okay. Hi, dog. Anyhow, thank you.
Well, Moji, I think, first of all, was it in Farsi?
Yes, and it
We,
was in Farsi, but then next week we are having bilingual gatherings, and I would like to invite you, Jody, to be the guest of one of our bilingual town halls, which I
happy
do.
to be.
Oh, wonderful! So
Okay.
I'll send you an email, an invitation email.
Okay, well, so I want to talk about this, Moji, because
Okay.
we all live in the trauma of the war economy, right? And you're talking about Iran that was moved into trauma in 1953, where they had a democratically elected socialist president that was
Democratic socialist
democratic,
prime minister.
right? So that was moving the profits from the oil, nationalizing the profits for the oil for the people of Iran. And that was not okay with the war economy, right? Because the war economy wants it to go to the empire. And so they couped that president. He died, and many, many, many other socialists were murdered for wanting equality for all, right? So,
Please say democratic socialists, because the
okay,
label of communism has been used in order to say, see, these are dangerous people
but
against
we can't allow
civilization.
people to
And
say communists are dangerous.
I
That's
know
just
that, but in the case of Dr. Mossadegh and Arbenz, the next, who they overthrew in Guatemala in 1954, and many others, including Salvador Allende, that they overthrew in 1973 on
okay.
September
I'll call them
11th.
democratic socialists.
Right, they were
But
democratic socialists. So
yeah,
right now they are calling Zohran Mamdani as a communist.
well, it doesn't matter. We don't let people use name. I wanted to get there. So using names to demonize others, especially communist, means equality for all. Like, is that a bad word?
Look, we need to understand the political psychology of
Well,
the environment we are in.
no,
And
you don't.
so
Actually,
if
we don't.
we call Dr. Mossadegh a socialist,
I'm not gonna, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about words. I wanted to go to the division, how the division becomes words, just you and me having this art, this, which word? It's like, it's not about the word. It's not about the separation, that we need to be not used by the separations, but instead courageous to stand in, to articulate from the ground of truth. That, there was a democratic elected leader who was giving the proceeds of the oil sale to the people. I don't even want to call him anything. I just want to describe what was so frightening to the empire that they need to get rid of him and his followers. So let's just call it that. But let's also say that the way the war economy wins is in separating. And we can see that over the last 100 years, wherever the peace economy is effective, the war economy comes in and slices it to bits. I mean, right now in the Palestine movement, we can tell in our circles. There's a few people like when they start acting out in ways that aren't useful for the Palestinians or for the community that's in action, I always just say, whoa, if you are not getting a paycheck from the State Department, you're missing one. Just to remind them that we're here for unity. We're here to humanize. And to dehumanize is to be them. To dehumanize comes out of pain. To dehumanize comes out of, we're not all of it. We know as humans, we're capable of everything. We can see that right now, right? Human beings are capable of everything. So the question is, who do we want to be in that? And that we can know the power of the unity of the kind of tuning fork, the vibration of peace and love. And they say, even a scientist says, that it takes one person vibrating in love to more 100 people vibrating in hate and violence. So we can look at it like we have the odds in our favor, but also that there's not that many people vibrating in violence and hate. So like if we just keep building these arcs, if we keep practicing the vibration, and that means practice. That doesn't mean holding up and being in meditation. That means being able to, like, I want to describe one of the most beautiful things that just happened last Friday. So on Tuesday on our ZioCon Israel consulate actions that we do every week, a really, really horrible group came and started attacking us. And the Israelis actually named them a terrorist group. So they're that level of extreme Zionists. They're not even, accepted by their own Zionist thread. And they were really attacking us. And then we did another action, and I was out there and everybody was super worried. And I said, well, should we cancel? And they said, no, because we're there for Palestine and we don't want them to shut us down. And I said, well, then what do we need, right? Following the peace economy message. What do we need? So we figured out what we needed. We needed an agreement for everyone coming, that we have a commitment to peace. And we wrote up a statement. It was given to everybody that came, talking about what CODEPINK's committed to, asking what, while they're there, that they commit to that also, that these people coming, the only way they win is by us reacting to them. That if we just ignore them, pretend they're not there, that we can do what we are here to do. We should be singing, we should be together, you know, be in the joy and love that we feel for the Palestinian people. And so we did that. And we had the piece of paper and we put it out and said, you know, we're going to do our best to make it a place where you can come and be with the people and call for the end of the starvation. And it's right below the Zionist consulate. More people showed up than had for a very long time from so many organizations across LA. And do you know how beautiful it was? It was so beautiful. Do you know how frustrated those Zionists were that we would not respond to anything they threw at us? And there were a couple people that like have a hard time not reacting. We met with them early on and said, you know, this isn't about you. If you really care for the people of Palestine, you will not respond. You know, if you feel yourself needing to, just come run to one of us. We'll hold you. So we did that. One of the guys who's just always, you know, like really reactive, in the middle of it, he goes, "This giving up my ego is really hard, but I'm doing it." By the end of it, he loved himself in a way he hadn't in so long. He was so proud of himself. You know, just the reminder when we set up these invitations of how to be to people that are really stuck in the trauma that they've been put into, and then they find out how lovely it is and how really nourishing it is. It then becomes, they can start doing it themselves. So in that whole thing, it was a peace economy practice. Let's name what is. Let's give the options. What are the options? What do we need? How do we serve that need? How do we serve it for everyone? How do we create the space together? And everyone left, just feeling in love and high and community and nourished. So I want to say this opportunity is always there, because in community, there's always someone suffering. How can we hold that suffering? How can we make space for it and have it be a place where everyone can thrive? So I was, you know, it's just like reminded that it's always present. And we're doing this next one on Sunday, and people are like talking about safety and everything. And everybody's like, no, we don't need to do anything. We know what to do. And it's kind of like that, you know, like instead of calling out the UN peacekeeping forces, it's like remembering we have the power. And I think that's what we've forgotten. We have the power to create the connective tissue, to create the vibration that affects everyone, including us. So it's the gift that keeps on giving. And, you know, Moji, you talking about the separation, it happens everywhere. And it is the tool of the empire. When I see the separation, I'm just like, oh, you're serving the empire now. You know, it's like, and they're like, wah, wah. I'm like, but what good is that doing anyone? You know, we're trying to be together. It's the people power in unity that can only affect what's happening here. So thank you for doing the peace economy work for 5 hours today, Moji. And thanks for modeling that. It's up to all of us. Those conversations are happening in our life every day. So does somebody
Oh,
else
wait,
want
wait,
to
wait,
share?
wait. This was 5 hours today. I
Yeah,
am
no, I
doing this.
said thank you for the 5 hours today.
Well, thank you, but I'm doing this 14, 16 hours day and night,
Oh,
basically.
sorry. Thank you, Moji,
That's
for
okay. Thank you.
the 17-hour workday. Okay, anyone else want to share an experience? before we break into our breakouts, and you can share them personally.
I love it when I go to protests and we sing.
Yeah, me too, Dawn. Which says, you know, the thing then is when you go to protest, go ready with music, you know, go ready to sing and go ready to lead the singing. So it's not, I like going to protests where they sing. I'm ready to go to a protest and lead the singing. Because when people offer the singing, everybody's like, thank you, right? So, you know, have the song on your phone that you have pulled up, have the music pulled up on your phone, have the words pulled up that people can, you know, take a picture of. You know, we can all make it happen really fast. That invites people in to being there. Hey, Nancy.
Jody, next
Yeah,
next
Moji can,
Wednesday,
oh,
our binational bilingual uh,
I see.
town
Okay.
hall
Amy,
is about peace songs. We're going to be
yay.
singing peace songs from inside Iran and the United States in 3
Awesome.
languages.
Awesome. I will bring my peace
Okay.
song.
Thank you.
Nancy, can you talk a little bit about Friday? Do you want to say anything?
On Friday, I do definitely agree with the energy. There were 5 of them, and they bring such anger. They feel like they're more people. And one of the 5, I'll say he's for you, Jody, he's like the most American looking one, as a baseball cap.
Yeah.
He's been there. He's been there a lot. Um, and we had a few actually kind words on our side. And then when we went over, I'm blanking on her name, the woman who owns the restaurant, when she was knocked down by the woman on their side. She was
Mhm.
physically accosted. They were grabbing her Palestinian flag. Their own, that Zionist, he pulled her off. So, and I think to your point, Jody, because we were not engaging in anger, um, I remember telling one of our own, he's actually helping us, and he got her off. And then when he left, he goes, "Okay, see you next week."
Right. And I think
Hey,
he realized that given the field of kindness we were in, she was making it look really bad. And he was like, whoa,
yeah.
we're gonna look really, really bad.
Yeah, and I also think that there was a level that touched his humanity that he could, because he is the one that doesn't go as far as the others.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and they actually didn't show up on Tuesday. Whether they'll be there this Friday, I don't know. I'm unable to be there, but they have definitely come, and he in particular on Tuesdays. So I definitely agree with that. What I think is tangible but nebulous to talk about, energy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Thanks, Nancy. You are the peace energy, so thank you. All right. Well, does anybody else want to share with the group before we break you into some sharing with each other? Any other? Hi, Stephanie. You want to share it all? You're muted.
Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, I'm just listening right now. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Well, so maybe we could have a raise of hand of who wants to stay in breakout groups. So Marie can know. And then raise hands. Do people know how to raise hands? Kathy.
I'm sorry, did you say people who can stay?
Yeah, so Marie and I go away and allow you to have a conversation together, share what you're doing locally, or
Uh,
how you're struggling with being peace. But it looks like Dawn has to go. Oh, Nancy. Kathy can stay.
I can stay.
Um,
Yeah, if people just a step away at this point, and then we'll see
okay,
who can stay, and then I can put everybody in a room.
okay.
Um,
So are there
and
any other questions anyone has for me before you go into either a conversation or into the rest of your night? I'm here. We wanted tonight just to be about, do you have questions? Let's just review what we're doing, which is the constant, the plan for Labor Day. Tracy, I don't know where you live. So Labor Day actions are happening across the country. I know in LA, we have a big Labor Day march in Long Beach that a bunch of us are going to be at. Just reminding, oh, great, Tracy. Yes, you can find it on the Code Pink. I think Marie can stick it in there, codepink.org events. Definitely, there's that. But there's also, just so everybody knows, the flotilla launches on the 31st, the day before Labor Day. And oh, Kathy, we do on the website. But I'd have to do a little research to find it. I think in locals, Code Pink locals, we have a song sheet that was created for us. I think it's codepink.org locals or songs, or I don't know. Google Code Pink and peace songs and see what comes up. That's what I would probably do. But we do have the tool and a song sheet on Code Pink. But back to what I was saying about the 31st. The 31st is the launch of the flotilla. And this time, the flotilla is many ships, many boats. We have two Code Pinkers on. We have one of the people from Code Pink Philly, where Marie is, and we have Adnan from Code Pink DC, each on two different boats. So across the country, our locals are doing some kind of flotilla action in LA. They're going to be at the Santa Monica Pier. In Detroit, we're going to be on the Detroit River with Code Pink Dallas is bringing up their cloth flotilla that we've used since 2011, which was the first flotilla we were part of, where 11 people were murdered by the Zionists on the Mari Mara. So just it's a busy weekend of both this really next historic moment about the flotilla that we all want to raise up, about this attempt to get to the shores of Gaza with aid, and these very courageous people, which I think is better than peacekeepers. I think showing up with aid is the way to go, and also by choice, not by being recruited just because you don't have money to be a soldier. So then Labor Day in LA, you can find that at events, and across the country, our call is bring messages of peace to Labor Day. One of the things is the our labor should be we should get what we deserve from our labor. And in a war economy, you do not. In a war economy, that all that labor money is making the rich richer and the poor poorer. So, showing up for Labor Day with messages of Palestine, messages of no war. I know you'll be welcomed. It's always good, as Dawn said earlier, just to be together, to be singing together, to be marching together. Being in community matters so much, because that is where the psychopathy is not. And so when I say, like, we're always like building our muscles, being in the vibration, the more we can be in the vibration of peace and love and care for life, the more it will be easy for us, and the stronger our own muscle of vibration will be. Oops. So I'm sorry I went too long, but I guess Marie will put everybody in a breakout room, and whoever stays, stays.
yeah, and I
Thank
just
you.
want to remind everyone that these breakout rooms are not timed. So you can go and talk until the conversation is over, and we leave the Zoom room open for as long as you're there. So if you stay an hour, great. If you stay for half an hour, great. If you stay 4 hours, great. We're just going to leave the Zoom room open. And you know, you
And
think I'm
just one-
joking, but people do.
Just one room, probably, Marie. Yeah, one room.
Just one room?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you for all you do,
bye, everyone.
peacemakers.
Thank you, Jody.